What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the eighth round. This is the 12th episode. I'm your host, Brock Hoffman, offensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys. I got a really exciting episode coming on this week. We're going to talk a lot about offensive line play, but I just want to give a huge shout out to all the people that have subscribed, all the followers, all the fans that have watched every episode. I appreciate it. Trust me, it means a lot to me. And now it's time to bring on our special guest, Brandon Thorn, my man who runs Trench Warfare, works with Duke Manyweather at the O-Line Mastermind Summit, and has honestly just brought a lot of publicity to the O-line as well as D-line play in the NFL. Brandon, appreciate you coming on, bro.
Dude, I'm happy to do this. Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, bro, I'm super excited, and I'm gonna jump into the questions, bro. I'm gonna grill you about O-line play. You know what I'm saying? We're we're
Let's do it.
we're gonna do it. So I'm gonna ask. The first question is, what was it that made you kind of start trench warfare? I've never asked you this. I know, we've talked a lot, over the last couple of years, but I've never really asked you, how you kind of
Yeah.
started it.
Yeah, well, I wanted to have my own thing, that was independent of anybody else, that I could run myself and I could direct the content on and just kind of
Right.
decide what I want to do when I want to do it. And just give, people an opportunity to support me as well, outside of working for somebody else. So just to kind of give myself that independence, and that was the main kind of driver behind it. And I had some people that had started Substacks before me that, were doing really well with it, and they helped me out and just kind of give me some pointers and whatnot. And I initially I think I had a Patreon for a little bit, which is kind of a similar idea, but Substack was more geared towards creating content. So I just rode with that, and that was like 2019, I think. So it's been good since, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. What was it about O-line play specifically?
Yeah, I mean, O-line play specifically. So I started playing in high school,
Mm-hmm.
just football overall, and then eventually got moved to the offensive line for my junior and senior year, and just gained, I already kind of had an appreciation for it, but I gained a real deep appreciation just playing high school in Florida, going against some pretty good
Big
guys
time
and
ball in
whatnot.
Florida for sure.
Yeah, and just getting an appreciation for what it was like taking a pass set, and trying to stay in front of some dude who's, extremely
Freak.
athletic,
Yeah.
and so it just kind of gave me a little bit of a taste in that. And and I've just been a big football fan in general, rosters, just knowing the rosters of teams, and it all goes back to really playing Madden, growing up. And
Mm-hmm.
so I knew who Willie Roaf was and Jonathan Ogden and Orlando Pace and, all the guys, Steve Hutchinson and just all the Hall of Famers of that time growing up. So I knew who all these guys were. And then playing it a little bit, I'm like, okay, man, just appreciation for how difficult it was. And that just kept growing, after high school when I was in the military and eventually when I got into scouting, so
Right.
yeah, that's where it came from.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah. Unsung heroes, right? O-line. O-linemen are
Exactly.
always so.
Yeah.
Um, so since you've started it, has there been anything that you've learned about O-line play? I'm sure a lot, but
Oh man.
anything like that just, hits your brain when I first said it?
Um, Probably just the team within the team aspect and the
Yeah.
reliance on the guy next to you and just how, I guess, underrated that can be for people on the
Mm-hmm.
outside, especially just not really knowing just how much goes into working together, seeing through the same set of eyes, all these things that offensive linemen have heard and just the importance of that and how that can elevate your play as an individual and really just the team within the team factor of it and aspect of it to me has been one of the biggest takeaways from it and one of the coolest parts about it that sets it apart from every other position, just because there's five of you out
Mm-hmm.
there. And aside from maybe like defensive back, when there's five of those guys out there at once, there's really not another, unit on the field that's like that. So I think that camaraderie of it and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just it kind of reminds me a little bit about, the military. And there's some parallels there, like just being underappreciated, overlooked with what I did in law enforcement in the military. And I don't know, man, it just I've been able to draw those parallels.
Yeah,
But
no,
to
that's real.
me, yeah, but that to me is what has always, I think, stood out more than anything about O line.
Yeah, I love that answer. Like we talk about it all the time in like our room. Like, like in the game, like you're always gonna face adversity, but like when the shit hits the fan, it's like you look to your brother to your left and your right. And like I know you mentioned like the DBs, like, yeah, there might be five of them out there, but they ain't right beside each other like us. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
So like we can really lean on each other. And I love how you said like, you know, my play could be elevated because I'm beside Zach, and that's so real. Like the people you're around, or I guess like the camaraderie on the field, like everybody's game gets elevated because you're doing it for obviously like the love of the game, but for the love of your boy to your left and your right. So
Yep. Yeah.
I love that answer, bro.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate it.
so when you're scouting or you talked about scout, right? Obviously. So when you're scouting or
Hmm.
breaking down film, what are some, traits that you're looking for in the O lineman?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with play strength,
Mm-hmm.
being able to hold the point of attack and create a new line of scrimmage, whether that's, the run game primarily, but holding the point of attack in the run game, and anchoring and pass protection. I think if you're strong as an offensive lineman, that can be such a foundational aspect of your game.
Right.
So play strength, and why I say play strength and not just strength is I think there's an important distinction there as well because as you know, I'm sure, and a lot of people listen to this, there's
Mm-hmm.
guys who are strong, in the weight room or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily always translate to the field. So you want to see it on film,
Right.
right? Being strong on film, first and foremost. So I think play strength is a big one. Competitive toughness, of course, finishing effort, which, you are a great guy to talk about. That's, a hallmark of your game.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I appreciate, as much as anything watching about the position is just how physical you can be playing it. That's another thing that makes offensive line so special.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys who can set the tone and do it consistently, regardless of game situation, opponent, time of the year, all that stuff. If it's consistent start to finish, I feel like that's a huge part of offensive line. So competitive toughness, play strength, athletic ability, of course, is important.
Right.
Just getting to spots on time and, being able to execute a variety of schemes and things like that. So I think if you hit the baseline there, you're good. Of course, having an elite athlete is great, but more often than not, you can just be, solid
Mm-hmm.
there. And then processing, which is mental processing slash play speed. And that's kind of hard to distinguish from the outside sometimes because, we don't know exactly what you guys are being asked to do. But I think generally we can kind of see if it's a TE or an ET and you're a guard or a tackle, how you're handling those things, how quickly you're picking up on different, creepers or just how well you're seeing things,
Right.
reacting to it, if you're out of position or not, timing off of combo blocks. And, of course, there's, every week there's additions and subtractions to the game plan that can make things a little different. So I try to be careful with that one, but I think there is a way to at least kind of get a baseline on it. So I would say processing and play speed are definitely some other aspects of the position. That's the way I was kind of like taught initially,
Yeah.
and I feel like I've seen that kind of hold up over time.
I feel like the whole play speed aspect is honestly more important than I guess like someone's athletic ability. Like I think
Yeah,
obviously like to be an NFL offensive lineman, I have some athletic ability, but I wouldn't say I'm a freak athlete, but I can like put myself in the right positions. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like
for
there
sure.
is like different levels to everything. And I love how you talked about like the play strength because like over my years of playing, I've seen multiple dudes squat 5, 6, 700 pounds, but it's like you get on the field, it's different. It's like you're squatting and anchoring on a bull rush is two completely different things. So I mean, dude, you're preaching to the choir over here. I feel like you were just hitting it on the head, like every different aspect. I was like, damn, dude, like he's on it. You know what I mean? Like you know what you're talking about.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of years just, picking people's brains and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to learn it, and just trying to apply that when I watch the film and trying to see it on film. And yeah, and there's layers to it. We could go into it. Like another little tidbit that I got that always made sense to me with play speed, it's basically mental processing skills plus your athletic ability equals
Mm-hmm.
your play speed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a really quick processor and you're not super athletic, your play speed could still be really good,
Right.
and vice versa to an extent. If you're a great athlete but you don't process maybe as quick, your play speed can still be pretty good. So I think those two things kind of equal play speed. That's one thing. And then another thing that I try and look for in film is like trying to distinguish between, and I would be curious your thoughts on this,
Hmm.
strength and power. Strength, I've always been taught, is like overcoming force with force. Power is more so like that on contact, creating that sudden movement.
Yeah.
There's an explosive element to it, right? So some guys are more strong than powerful and vice versa. So I always try and kind of pick that out, as well. And that's always kind of one of the more fun things to see. Like I feel like Trent Williams is the pinnacle of power.
Right.
Like it's just explosive raw power. He can move guys, on contact in an instant. Tyler Smith, I mean,
Hmm.
dude, one of the most powerful guys you'll ever see play offensive line. Now, granted, these guys are both strong as well, but I just feel like it's a little different,
Yeah, no,
It's
I
just a little different.
agree. I think like the power is almost like the initial, like you said, like the suddenness of it, like when the ball is
Right.
snapped, whether it's run or pass, like getting out of your stance, in the run game or getting in your set in pass pro. And I feel like strength is more of like almost like sustaining it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like sustaining the block. Like I
Yep.
also look at strength too as like you're taking on a bull rush, like anchoring, like that's
Hmm.
pure strength. Where like,
Exactly.
if you're, quick and jump setting a dude, like that's more of like your power, I guess. So there is
Yep.
differences there for sure. No, I
Yeah.
like how you talked about that. And yeah, I mean
Uh,
Tyler Smith is probably Tyler
dude.
Smith is a freak, dude. Like
Yeah. Yeah. He
I,
is.
I
He
mean,
is.
like we
No
see some
doubt.
of the things he does every day, and it's like, dude, like he
I
also
bet you see some crazy stuff.
yeah, and he like puts himself, I wouldn't say in like bad situations, but like he can recover like crazy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean, he's just
He
a
has it
freak
all, man.
athlete. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Five tool player, I mean, he has everything you can want. I mean, that block against Fred Warner last year, dude, was
Dude,
insane.
we're gonna talk about that in a little
Okay.
bit. So
I still think about that block because you
it
just don't see that.
no, and we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
We'll get
All
to it
right.
because like we see it in film all the time, and the guys are like just laugh because they're like, dude,
Yeah.
like it's
It's
unreal.
crazy.
Because Fred is a freak, like Fred's
Yeah.
a beast. So
Right.
let's get on to the next one. So how did you kind of get hooked up with Duke and then start kind of helping him out and doing all this stuff at the O Line Mastermind Summit?
Yeah. So I met Duke through LaCharles Bentley
Okay,
back in the day. So like 2016, I want to say I went to a clinic that LaCharles put on in Arizona. I didn't meet Duke there, but through knowing LaCharles, and Duke used to work with LaCharles,
right,
so we just kind of got connected. I think through social media as well. And I used to host a podcast with this guy named Ted Sunquist, who was a general manager of the Broncos, actually, Air Force veteran guy, super cool guy. But we hosted a podcast back in like 2015 timeframe, 2016, and we had Duke on because I saw Duke on social media. I mean, he was one of the only guys talking about offensive line at the time, and I really wanted to get more into offensive line myself, so we had him on the podcast. And then I've just been picking Duke's brain for it feels like 10 years,
right,
just I mean, and he's always been generous with his time. And then offensive line masterminds. So we started it. I mean, I know him and Lane started it, but me and him were like there setting up the first one in 2018, and it was in a little classroom there at the same facility. But he brought me on board initially to create all the film.
right,
So, like as being there, we typically kick it off by watching film of pass rushers or offensive line and just break it down. So I just make all the film basically for the summit. So that's why he brought me on, and I've just helped with various things since, and we're just grown close. We're friends now. But yeah, I owe a lot to him. Just opening doors for me, teaching me a lot, and just tried to be a sponge around guys like that. There's not a
right.
lot of Dukes walking around, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just trying to take it all in, and him and Jeff Schwartz as well, and guys like that. So it's been awesome to have them.
Yeah, no, I remember my first time I went, I guess it was 2020 or no, 21. Yeah, going into my senior year. Um,
Okay.
And that was like the first thing I noticed was like how much film we actually watched. Like it was everything's kind of like, you know, you break it down, man. Like you're like, this top pass rusher, here's his moves. Like I loved it, honestly. It was and like it was cool too because it wasn't just like when you were watching like, specifically like O linemen, it wasn't just like current players, it was like former players too. Like I remember
Yeah.
last year, um, we had a whole segment with what Richie Incognito,
Yep.
like watching his film, talk about physical, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I think it's a very cool job. Like I think you do a great job, honestly, like breaking all that stuff down.
I appreciate that, man. And yeah, I definitely try and get some older guys in there who are retired or recently retired. And I would get even older guys if I had the film,
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think just appreciating the guys who came before and, kind of set the stage in some ways for the guys playing now. I mean, I feel like that's important. And I'm a big like NFL history buff too. Like I like learning about it and appreciating it. And then now that I'm in O&D line, I just focus on that. So, but yeah, just recently, man, there's just a lot of good guys who retired who, young guys can learn a lot from, and it's all still relevant, like Alex
Mm-hmm.
Mack for center, like Alex
Yeah.
Mack and Max Unger and Ryan Khalil and guys like this. I mean, yeah, I'd like those guys not to be forgotten because I don't think those guys are necessarily going, maybe Mac, but like some of those guys aren't going to the Hall of Fame or things like that. So once they retire, it's like, if you're not in the offensive line world, it's just they're gone,
Mm-hmm.
So I like to preserve some of that and create like teach tapes and stuff. And just, I think that's important and I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Especially because like when I was growing up, when I was young, like those were the guys, you know what I mean? Like those were
Yeah.
the beasts in the league at the time. So it
Yeah.
is very, very cool. So let's move on to this next one right here. So yeah, here we go. So if you were to build a dream team O line with current NFL players, who would it be? Left to right. Go left to right.
All right. Got to go with Trent Williams
All
at
right.
left tackle. Left guard is tough because it's either Quentin Nelson or Tyler Smith. Um, if it's just for 2024, I'll probably go Quentin. But if it was like the next, 3, 4, 5 years, I'll probably go Tyler just from age. But I'll go Q there. Center, um, got to go Creed.
Yeah.
Uh, now that Kelsey's retired, especially right guard Zach Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Just I still think he's probably over the last 10 years or so that I've been watching the position, he's probably the best offensive lineman I've ever seen in terms of technique being the same day in, day out, just
Yeah.
ruthlessly consistent, I think is the best way to describe him. And, his recoverability and all that type of stuff is crazy too.
Mm-hmm.
And then right tackle, it'd either be Lane Johnson or Panay. But I'll go Lane, just, skins on the wall. Like, that guy's been doing it for so long. He's still at the top of his game and pass
Yeah.
protection. I think he's the best pass protecting right tackle in the league. So, but a lot of good choices there, man. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I feel
tough.
like you could just
That's how I would go.
you could choose three, honestly, at
Yeah,
each
there's
position.
three
You know what I
probably
mean?
per. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel you. I feel you. All right, so let's backtrack to last season. All right, now give me your top two blocks from an offensive lineman from last year.
Man, I got to
If
go
you
the
remember
Tyler
any
Smith.
specific. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's one for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And I don't know that one necessarily compares to that. I feel like one that pops up is Lane against, was it against Bosa? Where I think it was like a
Yeah.
spin back type thing
Mm-hmm.
where he had to spin around and defeat an inside counter type of move. I think that's what happened. It was a crazy block though that you just never see happen against Bosa and Lane. Is just one of those guys that's literally never on the ground. He just his ability to stay on his feet is crazy, and I feel like that was kind of an epitome of his crazy athletic ability and
Right.
balance. So that's a pass protection one that jumps out to me. I know Trent had some in the run game. And I don't
Yeah.
know if one necessarily jumps out to me, but those two I would probably pick.
Yeah.
That Tyler one is
I mean,
pretty
dude,
special.
like
That's
he
top
like
like five that I've
yeah.
seen in 10 years probably.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, I'll never forget my rookie year. Like, I was like 5 weeks into Dallas. Like, it was the playoff game, right? So I was up. I didn't play in it, but I was up for the playoff game. And I just remember watching like Fred Warner fly around. I was like, dude, he might be one of the best defensive players I've ever seen, like with my own eyes.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a year later, you got Tyler Smith taking him for a ride and then dumping him. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah. That's, I don't think that's ever happened to Fred,
no, no,
in the NFL. Not that
no,
I can recall. So,
no. So
yeah.
my top two blocks was what I said was Tyler Smith versus Fred Warner. And then I said Jason Kelsey anytime he pulls or folds around for quarterback power. Cause dude, I mean, he gets to the second level, he just, lowers his shoulder and he's just moving dudes out the way, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
he's special for sure,
Absolutely.
especially at the center position. It's like,
Yep.
damn, dude.
You don't see that. Yeah. Him and Trent Williams on the move is
It's
as good as it
scary.
gets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. All right, bro. So we got a couple more questions here, and then we'll finish up. So my next one for you is, who are some young guys, O-line wise, across the league, that you think are set to have big seasons in 2024? It can be rookie or, younger players that, I guess haven't had breakout seasons yet.
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, let's see. Let me go through some of these depth charts here and get some names for you. So tackle first. I was encouraged with what Paris Johnson did last year at right tackle for the Cardinals as a
Yeah.
rookie, and he's moving to the left now, from what I understand. So I think that's more of kind of his natural position because he played at Ohio State left tackle and right guard. So that was his first year playing right tackle last year as a rookie, and I think he did an admirable job. So going back to the left, I think we could see him be even better in year two. So that's a tackle there. I feel like Rashawn Slater's going to have a bounce back year this year.
Hmm.
He kind of just, I think he was dinged up a lot last year in year two. So I think year three will be a really strong year, especially, with what the Chargers have now with Jim Harbaugh and all that and just the run game. He's going to be a total stud this year, I think.
Yeah, and
Um,
I saw a tweet today. They got a good O line like across the board, honestly, like with him and Zion. And then who'd they
mhm.
add at center? Bozeman,
Bozeman.
Bozeman, and then you got Joe Alt.
Yeah.
I guess is gonna play right. So yeah, they'll have a good group up front.
Yeah, and they're going to be run heavy, and
Hmm.
it should fit a lot of their skill sets really well. So tackle wise, that's a couple there. Um, guard wise, there's a guard that I really like who I think's really underrated. And I don't know if he's necessarily going to have a breakout, but I just think he's going to continue to be really solid, and that's Will
Right.
Fries
Yeah.
with the Colts. I think
Hmm.
he was like a seventh round pick or something out of Penn State. I remember watching him, but he's turned into like a really solid player in Indy. He's nasty, physical, plays a really good leverage and good hands, and yeah. So not a lot of people know about Will Fries, but I think they kind of hit a home run there, getting kind of a established starter,
Hmm.
at that point in the draft. So that's definitely another. I mean, I feel like Quinn Miners is gonna turn into a star this year,
I agree. I
at
can
right
agree with
guard.
that. I can get down with that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, his run blocking is just,
Hmm.
I really feel like it's elite. And just if his pass protection can continue to get a little bit better, I mean, he's pretty special.
He's
So
physical, dude. He's super
super
physical.
physical. Yeah, he is a great athlete as well, which is kind of a bonus. But yeah, super physical, powerful,
Hmm.
and just his game against. Oh, speaking of blocks, I mean, there's a whole reel from last year. His game against the Bills, Broncos,
That's
Bills, when
what
he
I was
was
going to say. Right as you said it, I know
okay.
exactly what you were going to talk about.
That game was pretty epic. He had three
Yeah.
or four on the second level where he
Hmm.
just, catapulted guys off their feet. Just crazy stuff you don't see in the NFL a lot. So yeah, I think it was like week 8 or 9 that he had that game. That
Yeah.
one was really special. So he's definitely a guy I can see really having a breakout year. I feel like Sam Cosmi had a pretty good year with the
Right.
Commanders last
Hmm.
year. He's another young guy who's promising. I'd love to see Tevin Jenkins stay healthy with the Bears just
Yeah.
because big
He's
physical
big. He's big,
bully.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. So yeah, those are some guards, I think. Yeah, I mean Dotson broke out last year, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I expect
He
more of
got
the same
paid.
there. Yeah, which was awesome. And then they brought in Jonah Jackson. I feel like the Rams' interior offensive line this year is going to be probably one of the 4 or 5 best in the league with Avila moving to center. We'll see how he does there, but I think he'll be good.
Oh, he's moving in. I didn't realize that.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's moving to center. They signed Jonah Jackson, so
Oh yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense then. Yeah.
yeah, Jonah Jackson, Avila,
They'll be
Dotson.
they'll be big. They'll be big in the middle for
Yeah,
sure.
that's one of the biggest interior threes I think in the league now. So yeah, those are some names I think to throw out there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can buy those for sure. All right. So I'm gonna give you some I guess O-line traits and like
Okay,
we're gonna do like a perfect build. Like you just choose one player that you think like embodies that, right?
perfect. Yep.
All right. So feet or foot speed.
Mm. Probably go Lane Johnson.
Okay. Okay. I said Trent Williams. All right.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's a good
It's
choice.
yeah, yeah.
Wrong. Yeah.
Size.
Size. I think of prototypical guard size like Quinn Nelson.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Six
went
five, 330 plus. That
yeah,
kind of thing.
I went complete, I went Trent Brown. Yeah, I trained with Trent, so obviously
Just a
massive
giant.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
A little different end of the spectrum there with him being,
He's
massive.
yeah. I've been around Trent a little bit at masterminds and stuff. He's probably the biggest dude I've ever been around, like in my life. Like he's insane. And another guy, probably the biggest dude in terms of sheer mass that I've ever been around in person is DJ Fluker.
Yeah, he's
Dude, I don't know
wide,
if
bro.
that's that dude is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of sheer size, yeah, Trent, yeah, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah. And like I said, I trained with him for about a month and a half before like OTA started. Like he can move too for being that big. So
Yeah.
it was impressive, honestly. Like watching him like when we were running and stuff. I'm like, damn, dude, like to be three whatever and moving like that is freaky for sure.
Yep. Yeah. People don't appreciate that enough about his game, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Punch, an
Mm,
O lineman's punch.
man. I mean, Tyron Smith has a
Okay.
pretty
Yeah, that's what I
devastating
said.
punch. Yeah, when he lands with those mitts, I mean, yeah, he could stone some dudes. Tehran also came up, Tehran Armstead, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd probably go Tyron on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I got personal experience. I remember like rookie year walkthroughs, like I was across from him, and like after the walkthrough, like 2 days later, my chest is bruised. I'm like, because he's full
Wow.
speed all the time, dude. I mean, his punch is like it'll stop your heart. You know what I mean? Like
It looks
it's
like it on
no,
film
I'm
too.
telling you, bro. Like
Snap
it's
dudes' heads back.
vicious.
Yeah.
Um, Football IQ.
Mm, man, I really want to get a center in here for this one. Um, I mean, Kelsey would have been the obvious choice now that he's gone. Um, man, I mean, I might go Creed because even though he's really young, I feel like Creed, that's been a hallmark of his whole career since
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma. I remember hearing stories from his coach when I think he was like a true freshman or true sophomore. He was just, running the room, just from day one sort of thing, just like knew everything, knew everybody's responsibility. And I feel like, centers in general, as you know, that's kind of their thing. But I feel like Creed is, and just for the sake of getting a center, I'd probably go Creed.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the center love. I said
Yeah.
Zach Martin just because
Yeah.
it's
That's a good one.
Zach, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little
Hall of
biased,
Famer.
obviously, but like,
I think that's warranted. Yeah.
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 um,
For sure.
Nastiness.
Man, there's some really good ones to pick on that one. Um, and I wish the guy behind me, 66, wasn't retired.
That's what my answer was Ryan Jensen,
I mean,
Tyler Smith, and Trey Smith.
Trey is a great one. I'd probably go Trey too. I mean, you can include yourself in that as well, honestly,
I
man. I mean,
appreciate that.
yeah, that's just a big part of your game and you do it really well. So yeah, I mean those guys are I mean Q is in there,
Mm-hmm.
Quinn, who we talked about. But
Yo,
yeah, Trey's way up there, man. Like he's a throwback kind of guy in a lot of ways with what he can do and what how he plays. So yeah, Trey would probably be mine.
Yeah, he mauls people, bro. Like
Yeah.
literally mauls them.
Yeah. He's fun.
Second level like speed.
I'd go Trent on that one.
Okay.
Trent Williams. Yeah.
I said Tehran. I gave Tehran, that.
That's
I think he moves really well.
oh yeah, especially like New Orleans days, he
Hmm.
was
I remember that
incredible.
clip where I think he pulled around or something. He took a DB to the sideline. It was pretty special to see.
Oh yeah, I mean he's one of the best athletes to ever play left tackle if you're looking on paper at the combine and also if you're just looking on film, just some of the stuff that he's done over his career. So yeah, Teron's a great one, but I'm gonna go Trent Williams on that one.
Cool. All right. Last question for you. Give me the top five, your prediction, top five O-line units this season. I know it's early. I know it's early, but in your, best guess, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go not in order,
Yeah,
but
no order.
okay. I'll go Philly
Mm-hmm.
is gonna still be in the top five. I think Jurgens is gonna come in and be really good at center. So, with the other pieces they still have, I think they're gonna be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, after Philly, I might go. Let's go Chargers.
Yeah,
Be
I'll buy
a
that.
little bold on this one. Because Alt hasn't played yet, obviously, but I think Alt's going to be really good right away. So Alton Slater, that alone, I think is going to be enough. Man, you know, let's see. This is tough.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. I'm putting you on the spot. I know.
yeah, I kind of want to say Tampa. Um, now that Graham Barton's there at center,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's going to be really good right away. Luke Gadecki took a big step. Played left guard as a rookie, right tackle last year. I think he, played really well. And then, Tristan Wirfs. Um, I feel like those three, is a really nice trio to have. I gotta say the Lions. They're
Yeah,
obvious. Yeah,
yeah.
they're going to be in there as long as Frank, Ragnell's healthy and everything. And yeah, they got to be in there. I think. With Frank, with Ragnow, Panay, just those two, and then Decker's still really solid. So what is that, three or four?
Yeah, it was four.
Um, I might go the Rams, just because I think the interior is going to be so good, and then Havenstein at right tackle is still
Mm-hmm.
really solid. And I mean, part of me wants to say the Cowboys too, just
Yeah.
for what you guys have. I think you have the best guard duo in the league.
Mm-hmm.
There's just some transition there, at other positions, namely left tackle. It's like how's Guyton gonna be? There's it's just kind of an unknown. I think he's super talented, but I just kind of a wait and see.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I'm excited for you and just dude the interior in Dallas, and then the Browns, like those interiors.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like are the best in the league. So I think that's going to be the case again.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't throw Cleveland in there. I thought Cleveland, they're, over the last,
Yeah,
I guess, I know Callahan's not there this year, but they're still
still the
very
guard
talented.
duo.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
Joel and Wyatt. I mean,
I'd
freaks.
I'd probably go them, man, honestly. I mean, maybe over Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Just yeah, the interior is going to be strong. Conklin, will come back, and then they have Dewan Jones and Jedrick Wills, like three tackles who could play,
Yeah,
and start for you. So, yeah, you're probably right. I think they deserve it.
yeah. No, I can buy
It's a
that.
good call.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate all the fans that have been watching this whole episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share at the eighth round. And gonna give a shout out to my man Brandon Thorn, Trench Warfare. Make sure you check it out. But I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Dude, anytime. This was fun.
Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate you, bro.